Hello, and thanks for watching this evening. This is episode 5 already of Between Two Forces, the show where a Jedi and a Sith lay down their differences to discuss Star Wars topics mixed with a healthy dose of nonsense, usually. I'm Jedi Johnson 22, and I once placed a "you must be this tall to ride" sign outside Yaddle's sleeping quarters. I've never seen Yoda raise his ears so high. Joining me, as always, is the sequel-sympathizing Sith from South Texas, whose force powers include releasing toxic gas clouds, but only after eating Taco Bell. It's
Darth Remurgison.
Hey, tonight we're going to be talking prophecy. I'll let you regain your composure.
Yes.
Tonight we're going to be talking prophecy, the prophecy that every Star Wars movie, or at least episodes 1 through 9, hinges on. Are we ready?
We are ready to go.
All right, let's get it going. So tonight, like I said, we are talking about prophecy, and we'll throw up the prophecy that we're going to focus on. This prophecy is a quote from Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice. There are some other versions of this prophecy out there. Ruben's going to talk a little bit about those as the conversation progresses. But this one basically reads, "A chosen one shall come, born of a father, and through him will ultimate balance in the force be restored."
Born of no father.
I'm sorry.
Born of no father.
That's what happens because my camera's right in the middle of the. So yes, born of no father, and through him ultimate balance in the force will be restored. I still can't completely see it because of my camera. But anyway. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this prophecy and we're going to break it down just to kind of make it more of a discussion worthy, or make it more discussable. I made that word up. So the first part is, "A chosen one shall come, born of no father." So who was the chosen one? That's the first thing we want to discuss. Who was the chosen one? So I'm going to throw up a couple of maybe they could have been the chosen one. One of them we probably have, I've already written in stone, maybe in our own brains, that is the chosen one, but we're going to discuss a couple of others. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is Sheev Palpatine. Any chance that old wrinkly, crusty mug could be the chosen one?
I'm sorry. The chosen one. That's really thinking outside the box. Sheev Palpatine, born of no father. Well, we don't know his origins. We don't know his actual backstory after, he killed Plagueis. But I mean, if what you're asking for is who is born of no father, you're right. We don't know who Sheev's father is. But then again, we don't know a lot of people's fathers. So I would say no.
So, probably no. So I did a little bit of research, and for those that follow Tales from the Dark Side, I don't really go too deep into the legacy stuff or the legend stuff. I kind of stay with canon, just because I'm lazy and I don't want to read all that stuff. But so I did do a little bit of a Google foo on Sheev, and it says a couple things I read. I can't remember where I read it exactly. It said he was born to the Palpatine household. So if you have a household, usually that indicates that you're born into a family. So you would have a father, or at least a father figure in that family. So I don't think Palpatine is going to make the cut as the chosen one. But let's move on.
Yeah.
How about Anakin? Anybody think Anakin may? Does he check all the boxes?
Something tells me yes. Yes, he's and to me he is the chosen one. I mean, he is born of no father, And he does do the second part of this, but since we're only analyzing the first part, yes, I believe he is the chosen one, and he is born of no father. Because they say that
Okay,
in
so
the
are you
movie.
hinging? Are you hinging your complete argument or your complete decision, I guess, on the fact that he was born of no father?
No, no, there is. Well, you mean of this argument? Yes, but
Okay,
the other half of the prophecy, it. We'll talk about that later. Yes, this
okay.
is the one I'm thinking.
So I tend to agree. He does check all the boxes
Mm-hmm.
of the prophecy. That's the wrong one. Born of no father
On the
being,
phone.
the primary one. Sorry, my dog is barking outside. She barks at everything.
No worries.
Um, so I'm going to throw up one more that may check some of the same boxes as Anakin, but maybe we
Okay.
just don't know the whole story yet. How about Grogu? Could he be the chosen one? He has no father, at least not that we know of. His story is unwritten for a lot of in a lot of ways. His story is unwritten.
Yeah.
He's either a clone. If he's a clone, he has no father, or like I said, like we were talking about in pre-production, I guess in our little chats. We don't know how this Yoda species, we don't know how
Mm-hmm.
they reproduce. So
That's true.
I think he checks that box. What can you say against Grogu being a candidate as for the chosen one?
Um, you really, actually, you really can't. I mean, a lot of people think he is a clone. Some people think that he is Yoda, that steps back in the world between worlds and goes back in time, and it's the same person over and over again. Um, I tend to disagree, only because the chosen one was in the movies, not in the show, and we haven't seen the end of his journey yet and what he would do as the chosen one. Plus, he forego the Jedi path and wanted to be with his buddy, the Mandalorian. So I would say no.
Okay. So, based on what we know about Grogu, I would tend to agree. I do think his story is unwritten. We don't know where he's
Yeah,
going to go.
right.
Uh, we may never know. It just depends on what they
That's true.
decide to explore and what they decide. You know what I mean? What they decide to focus the Disney canon lens on, I guess.
Right.
So here's what I'm going to do. You tell me if you agree. Palpatine is not the chosen one.
You're absolutely right. Not the chosen one.
We're pretty sure Anakin probably is the chosen one,
Yes.
but Grogu certainly gives us some food for thought.
It maybe a snack for thought. I wouldn't
Snack?
say complete
Okay.
meal.
All right. So I'm going to have to be satisfied with a snack then.
A little snack.
Okay. So let's move on to the second part of the prophecy. And through him will ultimate balance in the Force be restored. So what I decided to do here was kind of maybe the same person, may not be the same person, is to let's talk about who actually brought balance to the Force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to throw. Obviously, we have some candidates from our previous conversation that we'll have to consider for this part of the conversation as well. But let's start with a couple of others that probably aren't going to make the final cut. But let's throw it out there. Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon
Now
Jinn.
I'm going to keep flashing back to this into this prophecy. So here's why I brought up Qui-Gon Jinn. The word through him balance will be restored to the Force. I'm paraphrasing. So if it wasn't for Qui-Gon, we would have no Anakin brought. The chosen one would have faded away into obscurity, and we would have no chosen one. Therefore, we would have no balance. We would have no path to balance. So that's why I brought up Qui-Gon for consideration only
Hmm.
for bringing balance to the Force. He brought the balance to the Force.
Well, he bought a subject
Don't make me look too
who
stupid
could
now.
give.
Just
No, no. He brought a person who he believed was the chosen one to bring balance. That's his words, not mine. So I would say no. only because he knew that Anakin was the chosen one, because he actually straight up said it, and he would bring
Yep.
balance. And his dying words were, "He will bring balance." So,
Okay.
I would say no.
All right.
You know, I thought this was going to be a small video, but man, this is great. I love this.
I combed the archives for these. Yoda. Did
Yoda.
Yoda bring balance to the Force? Again, kind of the same argument as with Qui-Gon, because it was through Yoda's teachings of a couple of the candidates here, Anakin being one of them. I mean, I'm sure Anakin had a hand in training. I'm sure Yoda had a hand in training Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Can we attribute some of the balance of the Force to Yoda?
I would also say no. Simply because, he, when Luke leaves in Empire Strikes Back, Obi-Wan says that boy's our last hope, and Yoda's like, nope, there's another. So even he's unsure who's actually the chosen ones, because he even says that, you know, it could have been misread. The prophecy could have been misread. So I would say no.
Okay, I tend to agree. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, I kind of wrote Obi-Wan on my list before I watched a couple of these episodes, so I'm not sure if Obi has it in him anymore, to be honest with you. But that's another conversation. Obi-Wan, you know, he trained Anakin, he trained Luke. Was he responsible for bringing balance into the Force? Without his training, would there actually have been any balance?
If he hadn't trained Anakin,
I'm not sure why you
care. I've never seen these subjects brought into the balance question before. That's why. His training did lead to Anakin.
Mind is just like,
yes, you're not even, you're in a completely different field, in a different ballgame.
I think outside the box from time to time.
His training did help. His training did help Anakin understand the light, and because of his failure, and that's self-admitting that his failure, and he partly helps Luke. So it would contribute to, I would say, the process of the Force being into balance, but I don't think he's directly contributed to the Force being balanced. I think he had a very small part.
Okay, so two names have come up other than the ones I'm putting in front of everybody's faces so far. Anakin and Luke. So I'm not going to talk about either one of those two specifically yet. Instead, I'm going to skip. Well, you know what? Screw it. Let's talk about Luke. Could Luke be the balance to the Force? Now, obviously, he had a father, Anakin, so that kind of eliminates him as being the chosen one, I guess, depending on the version of the prophecy that you want to hang your hat on. Now, there are other versions, and I know you wanted to bring up another version of the prophecy. Did you want to do that now?
We can. The other version is a Jedi will come to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force. That was pre the Disney purchase. That's when that came out. Claudia Gray's was after the Disney purchase. So a Jedi will come to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force. I think one of the main things about having balance to the Force is you have to destroy the Sith, and that's not something that Luke did, in my opinion.
Could we argue that he did destroy Palpatine through his love for his father? I mean, I know maybe I'm drawing some dotted lines instead of having a direct line of Vader destroying the Sith by throwing him over the rail of the Death Star, but he wouldn't have done that had it not been for Luke, right?
Well, I mean, Vader staring at Luke, staring at his only son being tortured. I think the reason that the Jedi in Vader returned was because of a father's love. Father seeing his son being tortured, the Jedi returns.
Without Luke, there's no father's love.
Without Luke, there's no that father's love to make him come back to the light. So I wouldn't argue that he had something to do with it, because George Lucas even says that Luke is the catalyst to keep the story moving forward, and also those are his words. And also at the end, when Vader says, when Luke says, "I have to save you," he's like, "You already have. You saved me. Your actions got me here. You saved me." But doing balance of the Force, the only way you can do that is to destroy the Sith, because the Sith are overpowered. So, and that's not something.
Okay, so tell us exactly how Vader destroyed the Sith.
If you want, I did print out an interview that George Lucas did, because I knew this was the topic. I
didn't interview. No.
No. I just want to make sure I get the quote right, because if I'm going to quote George Lucas, I'm going to be spot on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would never misquote George Lucas.
Of course not.
If you actually want to watch this at another time, it's the video is called The Chosen One. It was the documentary that was done for episode 3. If you just type in George Lucas, The Chosen One, there's a 14-minute video and there's a 2-minute video. The 2-minute video shows everything I hear. The 14-minute was in a little bit more detail. George Lucas says, "You got to remember that this is one movie and it's meant to be seen 1 through 6. So when I think you watch the actual movie, speaking of 1 through 6, in order, the story will become very clear that Anakin is the chosen one. And even when Anakin turns into Darth Vader, he's still the chosen one. The prophecy says that Anakin will bring balance to the Force and destroy the Sith. He becomes Darth Vader. Darth Vader does become the hero. Darth Vader does destroy the Sith, meaning himself and the Emperor. And he does it because he's redeemed by his son." And then it goes on to do a little bit more, but I think you get the kind of the gist on that.
Okay, so every time you bring this up, I usually counter it with Lucas Jr., who is Dave Filoni, at the end of the Darth Maul death scene in Rebels. Darth Maul asks Obi-Wan or Ben, "Is he the chosen one?" And Ben says, "I think so," or "Yes, he is," or something like that.
Yes.
So does that mean Filoni disagrees with Lucas and Filoni's interpretation? Go ahead.
I don't think that at all. What I think is Obi-Wan knew that there was going to be a chosen one to bring balance, and since Anakin fell to the dark, he was looking for somebody else. And he, not Filoni, Obi-Wan believes that Luke is now the chosen one. Now, we've seen other people in the Star Wars universe see something, predict something, and it's wrong. So that's my opinion. He's searching for the next chosen one, because Anakin is now Vader.
Okay. I can't argue. I think like I said in our last video, is I kind of go back and forth on this, which is why I kind of feel like I overthink this a little bit, which is obvious in some of the choices that I'm putting before you today. Because there are times when I feel like, well, maybe Luke. Obviously, it depends on your interpretation of the prophecy. He's not the chosen one, but Anakin brought balance to the Force, that balance being Luke. Anakin brought forth that, through his loins, if you will. I mean, he brought forth that balance to the Force. So Luke maybe not being the chosen one, but he is the balance that the chosen one brought forth.
If that is correct, how is Luke's presence as a child or as an adult, how does that bring balance? How does that destroy the Sith and bring balance?
Well, like I said before, and it's just must be either me overthinking it or just having a different spin on things.
Yeah.
I always did not think. I thought without Luke, there is no redemption of Vader, redemption of Anakin, who ultimately kills the Sith, Palpatine. Therefore, Luke is that balance, that catalyst that the reason why Vader Anakin killed Palpatine. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just reaching. Maybe I don't know.
I don't think you're reaching. I mean, it's a good theory, and a lot of people do believe that Luke is the chosen one, and he brought balance. So I mean, it's not in black and white, and that's where a lot of the debate comes from. Even today, people still think that balance of the Force happened at the end of Episode 3, and not at the end of Episode 6. And because some people think it's a numbers game, I just had an argument 3 hours ago with my best friend in my house, and that's what he thinks. He literally thinks that it's a numbers game. There were 2 Jedi and 2 Sith at the end of Episode 3, and that was him bringing balance. And since they never actually come out and spell it, that's why I always tell people, it's your Star Wars. I will never say you're wrong, but you have to take in consideration what George Lucas said, the guy who wrote the thing. You have to take that in consideration. So
Sure.
yeah.
I don't know this. I don't do the homework that you or some of the other guys on Tales from the Dark Side do. So I kind of go with my gut a lot of times, and I kind of feel like, and this is a completely a conversation I really don't want to get into, but I kind of feel like Lucas kind of tossed away his vision of Star Wars a long time ago, and kind of said, "Here, this is." I just kind of do. I kind of think he just kind of nods his head and be like, "Yeah, okay." I mean, I don't know. It's just me sometimes. I mean, because of the way I see things, I don't use the word violating, but breaking canon sometimes. Anyway, I don't want to. We're not going to go down there. You want to hear more about breaking canon? Tune in Sunday for Tales of the Dark Side. No, I mean, do tune in, but hopefully we don't go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, I don't want to beat this dead horse too much, because I think also, depending on if you use that other prophecy, the Disney prophecy, as opposed to the Claudia Gray prophecy, I mean, you have to throw Luke into the argument of actually being the chosen one, because there is no checkbox of born
destroying the Sith
father. Well, without not having a father.
Oh, not having a father.
That's not in the Disney one. So we spent a lot of time on Luke and Anakin, which is deservedly so, because I think most everyone, not everyone, but most everyone agrees that those two are the primary discussion characters when it comes to chosen one and bringing balance to the Force. But because we do things a little differently here on Between Two Forces, and there probably are some people out there that like to look for other possibilities. We're going to throw a couple more possibilities out there.
Okay.
All right. So let's go with Ben Kylo Ren Solo.
Ben Kylo Ren Solo.
Obviously, now, so we're not making him the chosen one. I'm saying, could he be the balance?
Could he have brought balance?
Came through that prophecy.
I would say no, because again, I think the balance was done before. But if the viewers actually saw my spiel in December about what the meaning of the sequel trilogy meant, it's my opinion that he is the first visual representative of a gray Jedi using the light and the dark at the exact same time for the will of the Force. I think he's the product of being balanced, because he is torn between the light and the dark, and he has both those things. But I don't think that he actually brought balance.
Okay. Yeah. If you say so. All right. I really have no rebuttal to any of that, because I think that you could twist and turn the prophecy. I mean, I keep saying the prophecy, but that last part of the prophecy that I introduced for this reason, because I think that part of the prophecy does allow you to kind of twist it and stretch it and bring other characters into the conversation, whereas the first part doesn't. Obviously, I think he was involved in episodes 7 through 9 with bringing what Episode 9 leaves us with as being balance in the Force, or right, kind of.
Right.
Moving on.
More.
But we can't talk about Kylo without Rey. So this is actually the one that I have heard people say she was the chosen one. Now, these same people, I don't know, they don't always present a whole lot of, just because it's usually in a chat or something. They don't have the mechanism to maybe introduce all of their arguments. But I have heard people say, no, Rey ultimately became the chosen one because she's the one that ultimately brought balance to the Force.
You mean by the destruction of the clone Palpatine?
The clone Palpatine, basically, him channeling all the Sith, etc. I mean, she had help, obviously, but with the other Jedi whispering in her ear, etc., etc. But and at the end, she, buries her lightsaber, which is usually either a sign that you're going into hiding or that your job is over, right?
Well, no, she buries Luke and Leia's lightsaber. She still
Luke
has
and
her.
Leia's lightsaber. Okay, that's right. That's right. I only watched it once. I think I stayed away from most of it.
You need to watch them again. All of them. Just sit down and watch them.
I don't know how. I don't know where to find them.
You have Disney Plus.
No, I blocked those movies from my Disney Plus.
You
can do that, right? There's a code. I'll send it to you.
No. Rey Palpatine Skywalker being the balance. I think the balance was done at Episode 6, but I think every generation has to maintain and continue the balance, and I think that is the I would say the rules, or what that should be done.
Are you saying the prophecy resets every generation?
I'm not saying it resets. I think you have to maintain it, though, because at one point, way before all these movies, it was balanced, and then something happened where it was off balance, and then there was a prophecy, and then it went on hundreds of years, probably, and then it got reset. Now, the people who are Force attuned have to maintain it. They can't just think, oh, it's going to be completely balanced forever. You have to be able to maintain that balance. I think she is trying to keep it maintained, but since she has the blood of a Palpatine and she's a Skywalker, again, I also think that she's more balanced within herself, the light and the dark. She's not. I don't think she's gone. Nobody in the prequels goes as far as being the Sith, so the Sith aren't back. But you have to have that balance of light and dark in order to be balanced within yourself. That is the only way to truly maintain the balance. I don't think she brought it. I think she's just trying to maintain it.
Is there any merit to, since she absorbed Kylo's life force, right? I kind of just want to make sure maybe I understand this what I understand is maybe accurate, or if it just lives in here and nobody else believes it. Since Rey absorbed Kylo's life force, does that mean that she is balanced, dark and light, or is that just something that I made up?
That's one interpretation of it, and then I've never heard that interpretation, but it is logical. I thought more.
I hear that a lot, but I've never heard that interpretation. So is that just a kind way of saying that that's stupid?
No, I've never heard since he gave her all his force energy. No, I just never heard it that way. The way I've seen it is that she is born a Palpatine. She has that evil, that dark side in her. She chooses to use her powers for good, and she even uses Force lightning. So she is more balanced than we've seen. Now, I think
she was born with balance.
No, well, not yet, because it wasn't until I know you don't like this, because her force powers weren't unlocked.
We always go there. I don't.
We always get to this woman right here. We always get to her. Her force powers weren't unlocked until the dyad was created, when Kylo entered her mind. So that's how that was created. It wasn't in her entire life. So I don't see her. I see her wanting to teach balance. I don't see her being completely balanced as we saw in the throne room scene that Kylo was in. That's the first time that I'm like, okay, I kind of see where they're going with this. So,
All right, so I'm going to throw the last one up here, which maybe I should have put her first
there's
because
more.
I think there's one more.
There's more.
Kind of maybe even a throwaway. I don't know, but yeah.
Oh well. Oh, yeah.
Leia.
Surprised you didn't put Leia Organa Solo.
I almost did.
Oh.
In fact, I think I almost put Leia Organa Skywalker Solo.
That would have been great. Since, I really wish Carrie hadn't passed, because I really would have loved to see what they actually had planned for that last movie. Maybe she would have been more involved, as in helping out her son or whatever. As far as bringing balance, no, I don't see that at all. Because she studied, she completed her Jedi training up until the last day, and then she realized that on her Jedi path, her son was going to be killed, so she quit being a Jedi. So, somebody to bring balance is not going to quit continuing that path. It would be the only way. So, at least that's
okay. So let's recap. So out of all of the very good candidates that I presented, chosen one, Anakin.
Yes.
Brought balance to the Force. You say Anakin. I am kind of 50-50 because I can't make up my mind. I'm not a good gambler at all, and you're finding that out on Tales from the Dark Side for sure. I suck at gambling. That's why I don't do it. Thank God. All right, you know what? I'll agree. I'll go with Anakin just so that we end this thing on the same page. I will probably change my mind tomorrow.
Well, let me read one more thing. I did.
Go ahead.
The second part of the thing, maybe they'll. This is just one line. I think my screen went off for a second. Okay, let me read this one more time. The second part. This is George. This is George Lucas's words. So the prophecy is true, and by doing that, he redeems himself and goes from being Darth Vader back to being Anakin again. Those are George Lucas's words. So, if you want to watch that video, go ahead. It's a great video. The 15-minute one of 14 and change is actually a really good video. So,
was George sober when he wrote that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, this is it's not black and white. It's not something that's in the movies. I'm regurgitating what George Lucas said in a video, and I believe it because that's what he thought, and you know what? That's what I think too. There was a time in my life where I would have probably agreed that Luke was it, but once I heard George Lucas say that Luke was just the catalyst to keep the story moving forward, that's when I really started doing a deep dive into Luke and his actions and what he became. And I can completely see what George is saying about Anakin being the chosen one and bringing balance.
Fair enough. You wore me out, so I'm just going to agree with you. That's usually your strategy in these things, anyway. It's just to wear me out with quotes and references, and I do no homework, so it's a good strategy, actually.
At least you thought a lot on this one, because some of those I was just like, what?
Yeah, well, I guess you can make the argument that you can make the argument whether or not thought actually went into some of those choices or not. But I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. So hey, we're going to wrap this up. Actually, this wasn't a long one today, but we're not quite done yet. We do want to bring up a couple things before we go. So this is it's not actually Saturday, but this is going to air on Saturday. So please be sure and tune in tomorrow, Sunday, for Tales from the Dark Side on Rennavision YouTube channel, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will talk more about Kenobi Episode 4 and we'll go over comics and news and all that stuff that we always do. Please tune in, but we appreciate you tuning in or dialing in or clicking in to watch us tonight. We certainly do appreciate it. We want to do more of these, and between Ruben and myself, we usually come up with some questions that we want to discuss. But truthfully, that was not the original intent of the show. The show was to take viewer comments, viewer inquiries, and discuss those. So we are pushing forward, asking, begging, pleading, please give us some comments, not in the live chat so much, but in the static comments down below. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. And if you do, you will be in the running for some free comic books. If your idea or your question is chosen, we will send you some free comic books. Nothing beats free. These particular comic books were donated by Joe's Doolin, so we appreciate him. He's a longtime supporter, and we always appreciate Joe's support, along with some of our other dedicated viewers that give us thumbs up and likes and just kind of keep encouraging us to keep doing what we do. So that's all I got. Please give us some ideas, or else you're going to get more of me throwing some ludicrous stuff at you with some I have to throw some actually legit stuff in there, or else Darth's eyes will roll completely out of his head. But I like to throw in some curveballs, and he usually does a good job of either hitting them or letting them pass or whatever. But hey, that's all I got to say. I feel like I'm rambling now. Darth, anything?
No.
After stuff.
I enjoy it, guys. May the force be with you all.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for clicking in. We'll see you next time.
All right, bye.